This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good yawning this morning and welcome back to Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, your station for fresh news, smart talk all day. It is Tuesday, the 17th of September, and you are on the clock with Erin, Greene. And I'm glad to be here. I've got a little housekeeping. Then I would like to pick up the Davis administration 3-year review, grading. I think we could still talk about that, but there are a couple of stories in the newspaper. Gas margin rise of 25 cents approved. In The Guardian, that's where we're going to start, government to raise fuel margins. But before we get there, just a little bit of housekeeping. To my Hannah Hasty Tynes family, the Family Association September monthly meeting and thank you social will be hosted this Friday. We're changing the day from a Thursday to a Friday. Friday, the 20th of September, 2024, 7 p.m., St. John's Auditorium. The HHT Family and Executive Committee would like to thank all of the members that supported the reunion, the members that attended the reunion. We want to have a good time, some memorying and remembering the fun we had at the reunion. There's going to be games, and we're working on prizes. We are working on prizes for the game as well. So if you are an HHT family member and you would like to donate some prizes to Friday's event, you can reach out to the association via 455-7242. That's 455-7242. Again, HHT family. Or if you want to become a member of the family, Friday the 20th of September 2024, 7 p.m., St. John's Auditorium. Joining me this morning, good morning, Mr. Nuri.
Good morning, Erin. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. I just want to ask you a quick question. Because I don't know if you remember me talking, or at least asking the question, who taught raccoons to eat ganep?
Yes, you did ask that.
Yes. I still don't know who taught raccoons to eat ganep, but the raccoon sitting in the tree eating all the ganep, Mr. Mr. Nuri. Mm-hmm. I had to go in the tree and rescue the ganep from the raccoon.
I'm glad that you rescued the ganeps.
I'm very glad too. They were actually I'm so proud of my little tree growing out of a coconut root. It's just doing a beautiful job. To the raccoons, I say, today for you, and hopefully tomorrow for me, but isn't it beautiful that we could all share this environment? Mr. Nuri, you changed your grade. You didn't give me a grade on the Davis administration yesterday.
Because I do not have a grade at this present time.
Okay.
Maybe I need to get closer to the election to be able to give a fair assessment. Mm-hmm. If you ask me if the PLP is ahead in terms of popular voting, I would say the PLP is still ahead in the popular voting at this time. That doesn't mean that things can change. I'm not saying that they are a large percentage ahead.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it's closer than they think, right? And they shouldn't be close for the number of activities the PLP is said to be doing, the number of accomplishments their promoting machine is being put forward. One would assume they should be in the popular ratings about 70%, 69%, and I don't think it's that high. I think it's far lower than that. I think there are a number of Bahamians who are concerned, a number of Bahamians who are frustrated, who are unhappy, not because of what the government has not accomplished or has accomplished, but because of the number of promises they gave that they have yet to address. The simple thing as campaign finance reform, we expected that. That was a low-hanging fruit. You promised it during the campaign. Something happened. they need to be graded and judged on that. Simple thing as oh, it just escaped my mind.
Freedom
Freedom of Information Act, low-hanging fruit that was promised. They need to be graded and judged on that. What grades I give them for those two things, two campaign things that they put forward? F, because they ain't coming. I know they ain't coming. They already tell you they ain't coming. They tell you not to ask for it no more. Full stop. Even though it's a part of their plan.
Anyway, I don't like how you said full stop.
You think something's going to happen soon?
No, it's not that part. It's the they said ain't nothing going to happen.
Full stop.
No, they told us ain't nothing going to happen.
Yeah.
But they having an entirely different conversation with supranational or intragovernmental organizations like the OAS and UN agencies. They're having an entirely different conversation with them if what you say is correct, that they've told us we on that run.
We have learned from the previous press secretary that our prime minister speaks with two tongues. That's what the press secretary said. That's not me.
Yeah.
He said that our prime minister says one thing for the foreign entities like the OAS and all those things, letters that you called before, and something entirely different to the Bahamian public. And which one should we as Bahamians embrace? I say what he says to us is what we should believe, and what he says in the foreign people, I say ignore all of that. Ignore all of that. If he told us that none of us are interested in these things and he's not going to bring it forward, it is what it is. That's what it's going to be. They ain't going to bring it forward. And I'm quite content with that. If you say he ain't going to bring it forward, he ain't going to bring it forward.
Do you vote?
Yeah, of course I vote.
I mean,
All
do
the
you
time.
vote at elections?
All the time, man.
I was just wondering because I find that people who say it is what it is also tend not to vote.
Sometimes I don't vote either. It depends on how I feel. And that's what the freedoms that the God-given freedom give to me. At times
Not the constitutionally guaranteed.
Sometimes I mark yes, and sometimes I mark no, and sometimes I mark maybe, and sometimes I say, man, so.
Look at the boy just confessed to spoiling his ballot.
Yeah.
Here's what's of
But
interest.
I have that right to spoil the ballot too.
Here's what's of interest. I got a text here. The text is sort of off topic. Erin, America is becoming a very racist place where successful black men can't succeed. First it was Bill Cosby, then R. Kelly, and now Sean Diddy Combs. A black man can't seem to live in peace. Shame on, I think the person meant them, shame on them. You mean shame on Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, and Sean Diddy Combs, right, Texter? Anyway, I read that text because I realized we haven't talked about Trump's, the alleged assassination attempt on Trump. I say alleged per the U.S. media. They're using very specific language, right? Alleged assassination attempt. And I wondered if the PLP began this, what appears to be a pre-election push, because they thought that they could gain momentum from the U.S. election process taking place right now. The question I had on the table was, is the Davis administration preparing for a snap election? Which is why I wanted to grade them right now, right? If Davis called an election right now, what grade would you give the Davis administration?
If you call election, wouldn't be a grade. It's either are you planning to vote for them or not.
Well, no, you're going to make an assessment. What you're saying suggests that people just vote on feelings,
Yes.
right? I mean, what I'm saying is, are people making any sort of assessment when they are determining who to vote for? Or is it just, it's how I feel on
yes,
the day?
completely, all the time.
I got a text here that says, most definitely an E. The text says, if they call snap election right now, I give them an E.
See, okay, let me give you an example, and hopefully he'll call soon. Popper. Popper is a die-hard PLP. That's his party. His party is frustrating him. And he calls and he comments and critiques his party all the time on what they should be doing. He lobbies to say they got to do better. But if election calls now, he know where to put his X. He'll still come and lobby and try change his party from within. But he knows everything would do it call and challenge his party also at times, sometimes, right? But elections call now, he know where to mark his X. And there are F&Ms who have the same way. They can complain, but we need to get together, and I don't like how they treating a minister. Oh, I believe Pinta is a better leader. It's Pinta time. But if election is called now, they know where to mark their X. It's a settled. They can grumble within them.
Initially, I tell you that sound like good politics, right? Where members of the party can voice their objections. They can voice their disagreements, right? But then I remember the PLP convention, right? You say to me, look, within the party, we could argue, we could disagree, we could have a federation, a cacophony of opinions, right? But when it comes to election time, we all supporting the same party. But when it came to convention time, where those differing opinions, those disagreements should be laid out on the floor, should be threshed through, right? And we should discuss until there's nothing left to discuss. That got shut down. That got shut down.
And I hear you, and I would put this forward. After the convention, everybody was on the same stage, even despite of the combustion that happened during during the convention.
Yeah.
Right? They all was one machinery working towards one. What about the good German name? Gibson. All the time, Gibson was complaining, but at the end, Shane Gibson was on that stage with his leader, shouting, one leader. One leader.
I'm glad you said that. It always draws itself back to gang culture. You don't have to do nothing. That's what they said. It draws itself back to gang culture. I know that's not necessarily what you were saying. That's what I saying.
Yeah.
Let's go to the phone line. I'm going to make that point again. That ain't what he's saying. That's what I saying. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Ms. Greene. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, sir.
Good. Mr. Nuri.
This is Nuri. Go ahead.
Yeah, he left?
No. Go ahead. I'm listening. Go ahead, sorry.
Good. Listen to me. That, what you said just now, shows the difference with the PLP and the FNM. We would have a fight. I speak PLP. We will have a fight indoors. But when we come out, everybody's singing, oh my God. Everybody's singing one song. Unlike the FNM. Mr. Pintard is singing one song, Mr. Minnis is singing one song, and sound like now the gentleman of the Grand Bahama. Harm Lewis is singing one song. So they got three different songs singing with one piano. But the PLP sing a choir. The PLP has a choir, everybody sing one song. That's the difference. That shows leadership. That shows, I have my people in. See, you don't agree with this person to be the chairman, or you don't be, that's your right. You have your rights. Nobody can take that from you. But at the end of the day, once you can accept what had happened, that is what it is. But I call on not on that, but I only said that because you said, I know this is an hour show, so I got to be real quick. There was something that I watched on another station last night. Mm-hmm. There was a gentleman on. I wouldn't call his name because he's a senior citizen. He is a private citizen, and he has a right to express himself. But he spoke about the member of parliament for Bamboo Town. Mm-hmm. Everybody know what I talk about. There was a lot of untruth that he said. And he is saying that she is not visible in her constituency. I will go on record and say, I think the member of parliament for Bamboo Town is the most visible woman in a constituency other than Glenys Hannah Martin and Peter Glover Road. I'll go on record and say that. She ain't doing nothing. But he still lives on the same road, which was just newly paved. Come on, man, if you will try get Brownie points to try get the nomination from, and he's supposed to be a PLP, from the PLP to try get the nomination. You have to be different from that car deal. You have to be different.
Thank you, sir.
You have to be different. And I said I'll call him out this morning on every talk show that I call on, because it's a disgrace.
What I appreciate most is you starting by indicating that he does have a right to his opinion.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not
but
sharing.
Don't be truthful with it, though. You can't scandal people like that, man. And people called me all night last night. Saying, fella, this woman just said she has one school in her constituency. and she gave every child in that school. Brock was on last week, Tuesday morning, just for welcome back. Do well in school. She talking to the kids. Come on, man.
Thank you, sir.
You can't do that. It's unfair, man. If you can play dirty politics, let me know so we can play dirty politics. Now, if you're going to be right and true, let's be right and true, man.
Now, okay, caller, before you go, right?
Yes,
let me
ma'am.
ask you a question. I see, next caller, we can make it quick.
Yes.
What if I were to say to you, I appreciate that she provided not just a breakfast to school, right, but a welcome experience for children?
Yes.
What if I were to say to you, as an MP, that's not sufficient? It's just a token. It's performative.
It is not.
Hold on. And I would have celebrated a feeding program, right, like where the school begins to grow food, and then the culinary program cooks the food, and the children eat the food and share in the profits.
Can I tell you that sounds good?
Yeah.
Can I tell you that is something, I would make sure tell her, it's not my idea. It was an idea that I got from Miss Greene from Guardian. I'm going to bring that up to her. Put a garden in the schoolyard, and maybe even the children them who growing can maybe sell some of the things to the teachers. Yeah,
there you go.
Or sell some of the stuff to the parents.
I appreciate your response, sir. And what it suggests to me is that anyway, I appreciate it very much.
No, go say what you're going to say.
I was going to say that I appreciate your assessment of your MP,
yes,
and
ma'am.
I understand now that there's a team, and that she's not just working by herself. There's a team of people supporting her. I got you.
Anytime you see her put other things, but not her, but her PR team put other stuff on me, you see a team with her.
I got you.
Some members of parliament, you see them, they walking by themselves, them and one of their buddies, and they're going to the old people, those who they know he ain't changing from PLP. So they try and get these young to do PLP today. When you talk to them tomorrow, there's COI. When you talk to them Friday, there's FNM. They're the ones you need to target now in this last hour.
Thank you, caller.
It's the last hour.
Thank you, caller.
God bless.
Absolutely.
But I'd like to mention that one must also appreciate the chairman of the PLP, especially in his voice notes, where you see that he constantly coaches and warns MPs, sitting MPs, that a number of them are not doing an adequate job and they need to start doing a better job. That tells you something is wrong, right? He's actively reminding them constantly, one or two of y'all just ain't cutting it.
Hold that, because I got a serious analysis for that too, Mr. Newry. I like that you said it. Let's go to the caller. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning to both of you.
Morning, ma'am.
I'm listening, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
As a former teacher, the lunch program, breakfast program, has been in place for many years.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been privy to this, okay? Mm-hmm. Whether it's been upgraded, updated, or whatever the place, but it's always been there.
Okay.
But let me just say something else.
Yes, ma'am.
In regards to us being different from them, what I have observed is that the PLPs worship the king. The FNMs respect a leader. That's the difference. There's only one king, and that's the Lord Jesus Christ. We respect our leaders. Some worship the king. Thank you for your time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
I love her voice. I can listen to her talk all day. Just soothing.
Yes.
Go ahead, talk. Finish.
Absolutely. So we're going to go to the break. When we come back from the break, and let me say it now, and then we could get into this gas margin story, right?
Okay.
When you say that you appreciate the work of the chairman of the PLP party engaging MPs, right, as well as supporters, I say to you that, again, that may also be a performative space where the chairman wants to ensure that the public and party members can see the party structure chastising, right, or engaging MPs about their behavior. But that doesn't mean anything. What I would like to know is, why do you have to do these voice notes? Why do you have to teach them in this manner if you had a whole candidate training program? Is this what continued education looks like in the PLP party and in the public service as a whole? What I would like to see is justice not just being done, but seen to be done. Let us see the fruit. And we got a quote in here from the Prime Minister about fruits. Let me see the fruit of your labor. And when we go into a break, when we get back from the break, government to raise fuel margins. How are you grading this Davis administration? We'll be right back.
This I was wrong to do. Now vehement, just for holding she hand. To my surprise, her shoe heel caught me right between my eyes as she was looking pretty and smiling with me, and I think my line is beguiling. She was looking pretty and smiling with me, and I think my line is beguiling. Lady ting, my lady ting.
Love the show? Want to give your support? Become a sponsor today. Call 302-2300 for our rates and packages. That's 302-2300. Become a sponsor on Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
When you jump in your Japanese import and you turn the radio on, all you hear is... For the month of September, the Hit Spot will install a band extender in your Japanese import for the discounted rate of only $79.99, VAT included. Get your band expander installed today at the Hit Spot and listen to
Star 106.5.
Plus, get fresh news and smart talk on
Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Always on the go? Missed the show? You can now listen to Guardian Radio talk shows anytime, anywhere on Spotify and YouTube by searching Guardian Radio 96.9 FM or by entering the name of your favorite show. You can also listen by logging on to GuardianTalkRadio.com and clicking on the podcast tab. Guardian Radio, continuing to provide you with fresh news and smart talk anywhere, anytime, all day.
The Grand Bahama News is available every Tuesday in the Nassau Guardian. You can buy your local paper at Freeport Convenience Stores, Western Bakery, De Gregory's Fine Foods, and Bellevue Gifts. Now is the time to reach your Grand Bahama Market with affordable packages, including print and digital. Call GB News Sales Representative Kavandre at 822-6717 or message him on WhatsApp for ad rates. Classified ads are now available every Tuesday as well. Keep up with everything Grand Bahamian every Tuesday in the Nassau Guardian.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
I remember Mama and the love that she gave. Kneeling by her bedside, I can still hear Mama say, the people are depending on you, Shirley. Don't you let them down. I remember Mama in a happy way.
I remember Papa. That's who I remember. I mean, we all remember and love Mama. But who could forget Papa? Welcome back to On the Clock. I'm glad you still tuned into Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. To the previous caller, I just saying, I remember Papa. Oh, I remember Papa. Let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you and your guest.
Good morning, sir.
You know, it's amazing when I hear some of your callers call in and talking about lunch programs. You know, that's one, the Bahamas seems to be moving more in a socialist area than anything else. Why not then the member of parliament or even the government provide jobs for those same children parents who they feeding so they would not even have to depend on the government for breakfast? Why do we still do things like this in 2024? And people supposed to be bragging and boasting about those kind of actions. That's not democratic. It is very sad in our country. This country, the people have to lift up their own standard. Because it seems as if the government knows that once we feed these little children, that we will be re-elected. That is sad, and that is sad for grown people to be boasting and bragging about. In the United States, Canada, these people are creating jobs for citizens. That is, my child, your children would not have to depend on. If government feed my children, to be honest with you, I feel insulted by that, to be honest with you, as a citizen of my country. It is very sad what the Bahamian people settle for in our country, and they belong. It is very sad, and we need you just to change our thinking and educate our people. Our people are suffering for the lack of knowledge, and these are adults.
Yes.
They are suffering for the lack of knowledge. That government teach you how to fish, not give you a fish every day, and believe that my child, when they come home, they could say to Mommy, I had breakfast this morning. If my child ever come home and tell me that, or my grandchildren, I feel insulted by that as a Bahamian citizen. The members of parliament need to lift up their thinking. And that's why we find ourselves in the position where we are today. It is very sad.
Thank you very much, caller.
Yes,
thanks very much. Erin, you ever attended school in the United States?
No.
I attended school in the United States, briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what days give me at breakfast time and lunchtime?
Free food?
Free food. Stretch you across the United States. They give free food. Breakfast. You don't bring food. You don't purchase food when you go to the public school system.
I appreciate
it's just given. Yeah, you come there.
I appreciate the.
And you get your milk. You get your cookies.
I
you
appreciate,
get your apple.
I
you get
appreciate
free
the
food.
contribution of the caller. I think maybe his critique applies in those spaces as well. But I will acknowledge there's far more nuance than perhaps we're looking at it right now. You're right. There are food programs, and I'm recently reading stories of children who cannot eat because
Japan too.
They don't qualify for the food program, but their parents have not organized regular meals for them, or they're supposed to pay, but they ain't got no money, so they just can't eat.
No, that's here. Inside the United States, all that's free.
No. In some counties in the U.S., it's not free, right?
Yeah.
So it's not the same.
You can't leave property.
Across.
Where you get food from? They don't.
No,
purchase.
you're just gonna starve.
What?
Yeah.
They don't let you starve in the United States, man.
In fact, here's a story. A small primary school student, or like maybe 7th grade, but I think maybe even primary school, he raised money to pay the school lunch bills of his peers when he saw that some of them couldn't eat because they couldn't afford to pay. When he attempted to pay their bills, the school or the county refused to accept his money. Say he can't do that. Right? And so we see these things pop up all over the place. Let's go to the phone line and text us. I haven't forgotten to text.
I'm hoping in the future, all public schools throughout the Bahamas has free lunch or free breakfast program. It's just a given. You come there, you just join the line,
right,
and get your.
See, because even when you provide jobs and people are properly employed, that doesn't necessarily mean they will make the same decisions that you would make with their money, right? And so there's also social programming and training and education and social awareness programs that need to be put in place so people will understand, yeah, you can feed these children.
And we must also appreciate the Bahamas is a modern socialist country.
Yeah.
Right? Democratic voting, but the government has a duty to make sure their citizens have various. That's why we have Princess Margaret Hospital, NIB, all that.
Universal access to water.
All as socialist.
Universal access
concept,
to education.
All as socialist concept.
Absolutely. Let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. There's a really humbling conversation going on here this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, lunch, maybe when we are soliciting funds to campaign with, say, look, put an extra. I know you're giving me some money to go easy on my Haitian brothers and sisters, because that's a good donor out there I know about. But could you say put some money in there to feed the brothers and sisters you want me to go easy on? I think the parties, while they're campaigning, they're in a good position to solicit that too, and then release it all to us and let us know who all giving money for whatever they're giving it for.
Yes,
but there's something that Lyndon said. He reportedly said that Bahamians quickly forget, and I don't know whether it's because we are forgiving, we forget, and because we forgive, we forget. I don't know which one, but I know if you never knew, you can't remember. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
But do any of you know where the word picnic came from?
Yes, we some of us do. It's not a good word. Its origins are horrible. And in fact, when you said that just yesterday, I watched a small video by a family member of a deceased man, and the family are alleging that he was lynched, hung from a tree, and the state officers are saying after we've conducted our investigation, we have determined that it was not a lynching, that it's more likely suicide, right? Mm-hmm. The point being made, though, is that despite what many people think, lynching is still a practice. And African Americans across the South are still proclaiming and alleging and trying to draw attention to acts that they believe are actually lynching. The word picnic comes from an American practice during slavery where they would use the act of brutalizing enslaved Africans as entertainment for their Sunday activities.
Yes, it was planned right after church.
Yes, but thank you very much, sir. Absolutely, thank you very much. Let's go to the next caller. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Erin.
Morning, ma'am.
And good morning, Mr. Neri.
Morning.
The gentleman who was talking about the lunch program and that the government should teach people how to fish. I agree with the government teaching people how to program is a good idea because everybody ain't gonna be able to make what it takes for them to survive. So if they have a way of feeding the kids at least for breakfast, that is money they can save towards cooking something for dinner. So I think it's a good idea, but with this government and like how I was saying earlier, may go into early elections. I think they need to give us, like how Dr. Minna say, let me see if you want me to lead you any further. So I will do this for you to give me a new mandate. When we did give him a new mandate, I want Mr. Davis to take the same road and allow us to give him a new mandate. Please, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much. I got a caller who said, Greene, we need a whole new mandate. All right, let's go to the text line. Erin, it's been 36 months of a nightmare for the most part. Inflation and the increase of living has made the misery index go up to 100%. Could you imagine? Bills have increased, rent has increased, now gas going up, and I was making $330 a week, so minimum wage increase didn't affect me or my household. I find myself now having to pay more reconnect and late fees because I can't keep up with the bills. Government needs to get serious and help the people. The trickle-down effect is not touching the common man. People suffering out here. Things have gotten worse. My MP getting voted out in Pine Ridge. She gone. Well,
this is adjectives I have to be concerned with. Nightmare is surely not the appropriate word to use, right? It ain't that bad. It'd be rough, but it's not. The word nightmare does not constitute what we are experiencing right now.
Okay, juxtaposed to living conditions in other parts of the world, living conditions in the region we're in.
I
would say that no, it's not a nightmare at all.
Oh, okay.
Right? However, juxtaposed to what was promised.
What was promised?
Freedom of Information Act.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, they didn't promise that they would get right on public disclosures, but that would help.
Okay.
A number of things: honesty, accountability, and transparency.
Surely they are honesty and accountability. What they could get a C grade.
My Grammy say, when you don't have nothing nice to say, you say, "Good morning, caller. You're on the clock with Erin Greene."
Good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good, thank you. How you doing?
Yeah, you can see what's going on, man.
Blessings, man.
Yeah, man. I apologize. The last time I called you so quiet, I even didn't know you was there, man. I didn't even show my respect.
No problem. I was listening.
Okay, I hear that. I agree with my friend, the last caller would just call, man. Hey, everybody financial situation is the same, man. And plus, that'll help with time in the morning when you get them, trying to get them children ready, the house. Because I remember I had to be trying to cook breakfast and trying to get them ready and trying to get them in the car and go to drop and all that. And then another thing, it'll make sure they have a nice, healthy breakfast. Because when I used to drop my son to school and I used to see children them eating salty in the morning for breakfast, chip, potato chip and cheese puff and things, and cup and things and all them type of things, man, and candy. So if they come into school, you make sure they get one good hot grits and tuna, grits and sardine. Sardine is really good for you, too. That's sardine oil and everything like that. And to the caller, well, if you could afford it, and if you insulted by your children or your grandchildren going to the school for lunch, then tell them don't go and give them money. Give them $15, $20 and they'll cover them for breakfast and lunch. That's all. Your financial situation might be different. But
hold on, caller. You say 15 and how much? And $20 for breakfast and lunch for school children?
Yeah, saying that he ain't want them get no lunch and no breakfast.
Hold on, that's how much it'd be costing I was going to say on the road, but the children can't leave school to buy this food. That's how much they charge children on school campus for food?
Yeah, man. My son been out of school, but 8 years now. Man, when he used to go to school, I had to give him $7 and $8 and things, man.
For lunch?
And just now, man, what you can't give no child no $3 and $4 for no lunch no more. That only get a fry.
I see where the problem is. Hold on, I see where the problem is. Because here's what the thing is. If they had say they had a national big school like QC where I went to, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A student like me would have been on the breakfast line every day. Embarrassingly Greene, right? Because I had the time. I didn't carve out the time. I didn't prepare myself to ensure that I would have breakfast in the morning before I go to school. I didn't even prepare myself to make sure I had a decent lunch to take to school with me. And I would have been right there on that line, and people had been sucking their teeth and saying,
everybody's financial situation is the same, man. Like you all said, CA said, and things do. The great United States of America give you breakfast and things.
But do you...
And like you all say, rent, car payment, gas.
But do you...
cooking gas.
Do you acknowledge, though, that you too could have carved out the time at night or early in the morning to prepare breakfast for your children?
Yeah, well, I used to get up around 6 o'clock, 5:30, then you gotta go bed, go get your books together, go put on your clothes, your shoes polished. That time I in the kitchen trying to knock up some sausages and grits and things. You gotta keep running up in the room.
Nice.
You run outside, things like that and all that.
I get it.
And they probably brush their teeth. Oh man, so you gotta avoid all that and just let them get breakfast at school. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
I mean, technically, yes, because you could be training them and showing them the personal discipline and personal time management strategies and personal like school culture that turns into professional work culture. All of that in that space is where children learn those things. But
exactly,
it depends on the parents.
Yeah, because once you turn your back on them, you trade iron, you punch iron, you brush your teeth, you put on your deodorant, and then they slunking around, they start playing around with games and things and that. Man, so if you can get focused on them and let them get the breakfast at school, ain't nothing wrong with that, man. So everybody's financial situation different.
Thank
if
you,
can afford it, then you do it. Who can't afford it, get lunch.
Thank
all
you.
right, Erin and CA, you all have a great day.
And practice integrity. The most important thing is to practice integrity. And you say to your kids, look, I know that today you want to take advantage of this program, right? But remember that you are not living in a financial situation that requires you to use the program all the time. So you use your personal integrity, understanding that there are other students in the school who need it more than you.
Erin, if they're serving stew fish, I go on the line.
They ain't serving stew fish. I certain of that.
No? But if they have it.
Bones.
If they have it.
Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning to you, Erin, and to you, Nuri. I just want to call to give a perspective to the person who called concerning that people are saying it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
His perspective is that we are celebrating where you're saying children are not going to school because they have nothing to eat. So they're now going to school to get something to eat. We're missing the point in that is that means that there's no food in that family's house.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead of actually looking on how we can holistically empower the humans to be able to feed their children, because if you listen to the Prime Minister and you listen to the Minister of Education, they had emphasis. this is the only meal some of them have all day. That is something that we should be ashamed of.
Yes.
And so what it says is that we are developing a social dependency, a nanny state, as opposed to one of dependency. There is no such thing as a free lunch. Somebody pays the bill. And the lack of growth in the economy to put individuals in such a manner that they don't have to, where you say the kids the only time they'll ever eat is to go to school. It should be where, yes, we can have a system where where breakfast and lunch is a standard part of the education system, but it should not be a dependency system for the health and well-being of the future generations of Bahamians. And so that's the problem is. And so when you look at where we are in the 21st century, where you have skill sets, we have the chambers and other people saying that our children, our future, lack the rudimentary skills of reading and writing and arithmetic. We are not preparing them for the 21st century skills. We have a dependency on the tourism economy that's shrinking. We have refused to revolutionize the banking and financial industry and continue on the dependency of being a hack state for people who want to hide money or whatever else, as opposed to innovating. So I'm just simply saying this. We need to stop depending on getting heat from other people's fire. We need to learn to build our own.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. I say sovereignty is creating the things that you value and valuing the things that you can create. Thank you, C. Allen Johnson. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Ms. Greene. Good morning, Mr. Nuri.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, you know, this is a great, interesting conversation, but for me, right, born in the 60s, I am not familiar with these socialist programs, but why don't, at the same time, that the government, and I wanted to hit on the same point that C. Allen made, that this really is our money, it's not the government money. I haven't seen any of them going into school and take this money in their pocket and did this. So I kind of lean in what Mupp is saying and everybody else is agreeing with, but here's where the problem is. Why don't we throw in a staff cafeteria at the same time and busing at the same time to alleviate all the stress, all right? So, and then you and I would have talked maybe years ago, Erin, you had heard me, and then you and then Sparky eventually mentioned putting food, fruit trees for children to eat. So because a friend of mine, his son actually didn't know what a dilly was, I think at about age 4 or 5. And I was surprised because every time he come by me, we would ask for a dilly. But and overall, in overview, it's really the type of food you're feeding the people. And so, like with me, I'm a living man. So when I hear people called so politically polarized singing for their supper, I'm not an FNM, I'm not a PLP, though I've never voted for the PLP. I voted FNM a few times, but I went like 20 years or 25 years without voting. And so for me, I am beyond letters of the alphabet. I almost voted for the PLP to a schoolmate of mine, a very bright lady, Cheryl Bazard. I think she was a major before she got married. So we grew up together, and my father was a police officer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I didn't allow it to sway me. So I was able to remove the stain out of my brain and voted for the kingdom government. Give thanks.
Blessings. Thank you, 52.
52 voted for the kingdom government.
I going back to give a man a fish. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Ms. Greene. Good morning, Mr. Nuri.
How you doing?
Morning.
All right. Well, the lunch program, like some people said, is nothing new. I know when I went to primary school in the 80s, the government primary school, they had a lunch program where they provided food for some students. I was wondering, because from the time this lunch program thing came about, the breakfast program thing, I wanted to ask, who is providing the meals? Is it a contract that's given to some particular person? Because if so, like I think 52 said something about making it like a staff cafeteria, and then CA Allen, was saying something about making it standard. It would be good if every school could have had its own kitchen that provided meals for the students on campus, right? That way you could give some people some employment, let them be working in the kitchen, etc. And it'd be good if these kitchens could be supplied by the government, like how the government of Bamsey, right? The government had different stuff like that where we produce products and different produce and supply the schools with these necessary healthy products to feed the children with, right? Because I feel as if that would be a good plan. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But like I said before, I just wanted to know who is supplying the meals to the children in the
What's the protocol? Is it contract?
Yeah, because I just want to know if it's something that is benefiting someone, that kind of way.
Yeah.
Whereas, like I said before, I feel it would be better to put a kitchen in every school, you know, that kind of way, so everybody could get
a farming program, a kitchen, a culinary program.
And let all the children eat the same food.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You know, that kind of way, when you go to school, as a parent, you don't worry about it. Let all the children eat the same food, so that way no one feels inferior or superior to nobody else.
Absolutely. Thank you
that
very
kind of
much.
way?
Yes, sir.
You'll have a nice day.
Absolutely. Earlier in the conversation, we're talking about giving a man a fish versus teaching him how to fish. But let me tell you what the danger of giving a man a fish is in the Bahamas. We're the largest archipelago in the region, the third largest fish nursery possibly in the world. When you give a man a fish as opposed to teaching him how to fish in an archipelago, in a sea-bound island, they end up mistaking swai for grouper and tilapia for red snapper. That's what happens. And then you go to high-end restaurants and they're trying to charge you $50 for a plate of swai, pretending like it's blackened grouper. That's what happens when you give a man a fish versus teaching him how to fish in the largest archipelago in the region. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, how you doing?
Good, thank you. How you do?
Yeah. I passed 70, you know, but I remember I had a lunch program.
What it was, sir? Don't make me laugh, please.
Yeah, my lunch program, her name is Nora Dorset.
Okay.
You know, if I passed by her class window, you know, grade 4, I think it was in, she always had a half a sandwich there, waiting for me.
Oh.
Waiting for me every
Beautiful.
day. Every day.
Yeah.
Anyway, but see, it gives us a view of the dependency, of the mindset of these parents who's supposed to be providing for their children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't really need a lunch program if parents were doing their jobs, you know, but we become so dependent on politicians and the contracts and the handouts. I mean, we even borrow money in this country to pay salaries every year without pause. We got to change this or we're heading for a bad place.
Thank you.
Anyway, thank you.
Absolutely. I say we got to change it from the top down, eh? Because imagine that, first of all, you refuse to allow people to grade you. You refuse a confidential report. You refuse to allow citizens to grade you. You absolutely refuse to disseminate and make public the information required to make a substantive assessment of the progress of any given administration, right? But then you gonna collect paycheck whether you could afford it or not. You're gonna borrow money to ensure that you could pay yourself and those who work under you. But people can't get loan to save their life. They go to the phone line quickly. Good morning, caller. You got 30 seconds.
Hey, good morning, Erin.
Good morning, sir.
I kind of agree with the previous caller.
Okay.
Makes it kind of dependent. The perfect example I have of this is Golden State in the U.S.
Okay.
Most of the U.S., you understand?
Mm-hmm.
They've done these state initiatives, giving away free stuff and all that. They got the most homeless in the world. People just dependent on the government giving handouts, you know?
Okay.
So we have grown as behemoths from depending on ourselves to depending on the government. And we need to move away from that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Let's go to the next phone caller. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Yes, Ms. Greene.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to have called back, but I had to. Let me tell you what my observation has been quickly, too.
Okay.
In regards to children and lunch and whatever, what I observe is that you would find, particularly in the government school, children have gotten accustomed to having lunch money to the point where they don't want you to make a sandwich for them or give them a piece of bread pudding or whatever you would have made. They have this thing, well, if I have no lunch money, then perhaps I can't go to school.
Where'd that come from?
I would like to know.
Look here,
Lena else, not taking the conversation.
Yes, ma'am.
I find it's not so prevalent in the private schools. They take lunch.
Because I'm going to say, my mother tell me, listen, you feeling sick? If you die, the nurse can send you home. Don't worry about it. You'll be okay. Go to school.
you know, they took their tuna sandwich or whatever mom made, you know, peanut butter and jelly. But I find government schools, of which I have been a part, they have this thing about lunch money, and it's very difficult for parents to come up with that kind of money every day.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you very much for that consideration, right? Because when you're talking, I think if you're paying the amount of money that parents are paying to send the children to QC and up, then you know you don't have plenty spare money to send lunch money to school.
They take most of them. I can't always speak for everyone, but I'm talking about those. I've had a lot of people around me, students around me, who went to Queen's College, like you said, St. John's, and what have you. And I find that they a sandwich and you take it to school.
Or they fix a sandwich, which is...
Or they themselves, children.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm all out of time. I want to try
yes, I know. Thank you too. Okay, bye.
But Nuri, we need to find some public school students, former students, and private school former students who would come in and let's talk about the dynamics, right? And parents, the difference, what sending kids to a public school allows, right? Like what freedom does it allow in your budget? Thank you, producer. I come in right now. Hi, Erin. When Trump was indicted 4 times, the narrative was no one is above the law. So is Bill Cosby, R. Kelly, and Sean Diddy Combs above the law? They're not presidents. They're not presidents. By the way, Peter Nygaard just got 11 years for the same thing Combs is accused of. Another text, amazing that PLP knows exactly what is happening in the FNM, but not the economy or country. Another text, is much space in the schools. Why don't we have gardens or plants kids can eat little fruit and stuff from? Mango trees, dilly trees. The PLP seems kind of cultish to me. Another text, good morning, Erin and CA, to my MP, and I'm in the East. If you didn't start off doing good in the beginning, it's too late. That's my 10 cents. Text, for you, it's not a nightmare. For the child being molested, the young boy being threatened by the gang, the wife getting raped and beaten by her husband, the mother who can't make enough to feed her crying children. It is a nightmare. Well, let's sing, Mr. Nuri. One day I was on UB campus, and I overheard these students under one of the gazebos talking about how they're going to eat lunch, like how we could do it, how our money go wait to buy lunch. And right next to them, a security officer who had his hand in the tree, pulling fruit down and munching. He's just having a good time. And I look at that and I say, that's the state of our education system right there. These young people on the campus sitting next to the fruit tree have no money and still can't figure out how to eat. You've been tuned into On the Clock. Tomorrow we're going to pick it up again, hopefully. We share the show on Wednesday, at least this Wednesday come in. If I ain't mad at Nuri for being so smart, we can share the show, continue the grade review. And like Nuri said, he needs a system to use to be able to make a better assessment of grading the Davis administration. I can try to bring that to y'all tomorrow. Have a great day. Guardian Radio AM with C.A. Nuri is up next.
Worrying about a thing, just need some ice and I'm ready to play. I caught the best in the sea of all time. If you don't believe me, just come see my line. I went fishing by a shady pool.